Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon. So of course, this particular video is going to be related to Disney's films, obviously, in one way or another. So, this time around, I do want to talk about some animated features with one particular princess. And that princess is Cinderella. So I'll be talking about the very first one. It came out way back when, during the 1950s. So yeah, you can say that Walt Disney definitely had a dream with this particular film, and he really wanted to make sure that this film it was brought to life in a very special manner, of course. So of course it's based upon a story that was written further back, like eons ago. So he really wanted to adapt it to his own vision, his own passion, and a lot of ways he did it. The original Cinderella film was such a very difficult film to make because at the time Walt Disney Productions had suffered from losing connections to the European film markets due to the outbreak of World War II, enduring some box office bombs like Fantasia, Bambi, and of course Pinocchio, all of which would later become more successful after several re-releases in theaters and home video. However, at the time, let's just say the studio itself was well over $4 million in debt, and the Walt Disney Productions was actually in the verge of bankruptcy because of this. So making this film was a gamble. So in a lot of ways, this film did save them, is what I'm saying here, folks. The original Cinderella was Disney's most profitable film at the time. It was a huge box office success since their original film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, earning roughly around $8 million overall. And by its original run, it was the sixth highest grossing film of the year 1950, earning much more. And then it was also the fifth most popular film at the British box office in 1951. The success of Cinderella had allowed Disney to continue on to carry on producing films throughout the 1950s, by which the profits from the original film, with the additional profits from the record sales, music, publishing, publications, and other merchandising, gave Disney the cash to flow the finance to state of productions. Of course, the Walt Disney Company had their own television production as well, and of course began building Disneyland during the decade as well. The film is France's 16th biggest film of all time in terms of admissions, so with roughly 13.2 million tickets sold at the time. And of course, the film, the original Cinderella, has had a lifetime gross of roughly 95.9 million sales and a lifetime international gross of $315 million. So basically, what I'm saying here is that this film definitely helped the Walt Disney Production Company to stay afloat. So I guess that's something there. Of course, over the years, they continued to make money with the VHS tapes, of course, and the rentals of that as well. Let's not forget about the Laserdisc version of the film, folks, which I honestly thought was pretty cool. And then, after that, there's the DVD, and then the Blu-ray sales as well, if you add that up. There's been multiple different Blu-ray versions of Cinderella that have been released over the years, and sometimes they would actually contain the digital download version of the film. So that's cool there. However, that's the thing, folks. Yeah, that's something I need to bring up, and that's the Abomination sequel, Cinderella 2: Dreams Come True, which honestly is definitely one of the absolute worst sequels of all time. Oh boy, it's bad. It's really bad. It belongs to the dump where it should be forgotten, folks. I mean, come on, not even scavengers would want to pick up this trash, like, at all. So yeah, folks, they actually made a sequel to the original Cinderella. So I don't get that at all. Yeah, here's the thing, folks. The original Cinderella came out in 1950, whereas the sequel, Dreams Come True, came out in 2002. That's 52 years apart. So that's way, way too long of a gap right there, folks. Just about everything for the sequel is wrong, folks. It's supposed to be this kind of follow-up, but not really. The plot, well, the lack of a plot, it consists of 3 segments featuring the character of Cinderella planning a party, one of the mice turned into a human, and one of the Cinderella's brutal stepsisters, the redhead in the pink dress, reaching for her redemption through falling in love with a young baker, a low-class man of whom the lady and the other sister didn't approve of. This film it cost quite a bit of money to make, and it doesn't look like it. Oh boy, it looks really cheapish. So, yeah, but yeah, folks, there's that. Yeah, it looks really cheap, folks. Oh boy, considering that this is Disney we're talking about, whom is known for great animation, it looks absurdly cheaply made. Yeah, this is a direct-to-video sequel, which in itself is quite questionable. Why wasn't this theatrically released? I mean, the first film made quite a bit of money, so you would think that this film could have a theatrical release. And more of an effort of the plot, or I guess in this case, given more a plot, would have been easily done. I know this is supposed to take place after the happily ever after kind of idea, which doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, really. But this film got received so much negative response from fans and critics alike, so practically nobody liked this film. So in a lot of ways, I guess you can say that Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True was universally hated. I think being considered as one of the absolute worst direct-to-video sequels. At the very least, in my eyes, folks. I really hated this movie, folks. Every minute, every second of the film, I absolutely hated it. I remember how The Room is known for being bad. If anything, it got a reputation because of it. And in my honest opinion, Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True is The Room when it comes to animated features. Just stay with me, folks. The next one is going to be a big pill to swallow. So for the third installment of this series, yes, there's an actual third one for some odd reason. So we get to see that the stepmother has a bigger role this time around, which makes things rather interesting to some degree. So basically, she uses the magic wand because, hey, remember in the original Cinderella film, there was that one lady, the fairy godmother, that has that wand. So now it's going to be used in this film by the stepmother to somehow control the Prince Charming. And yes, it has something to do with time traveling, going back in time to a specific time and place to change the present. So yeah, it's basically doing a Back to the Future kind of a thing here, folks. And even up to the point where the redhead over here is trying to be nice all of a sudden, even though she was a cruel bitch from the previous films. And what? I don't understand what I'm looking at. I'm confused. What? So yeah, they're trying to have a relationship with each other, trying to be all lovey-dovey, which in some ways is kind of sweet, I guess. I think. So basically, what I'm getting at here is that they're trying to rewrite the first movie and just alter things to make sure that the story in this film can be in their manner. At least that's what I think the plot is going for. I guess. I think. I suppose so. But I guess in its defense, folks, for the third film, it's definitely more constructed than Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True. I always say that. And at least it does attempt to have a plot, I guess. They're really trying to make this stepsister a lot more likable than what she was in the previous 2 films, which is kind of odd. Considering the fact that she was a total bitch in the previous film, so what the hell's going on here exactly? Yeah, granted, we do get to see more of Prince Charming, and he has more involvement in the overall story to some degree. And Cinderella herself is definitely way more active than in the previous films. So there's that. Totally could have done like a Life is Strange kind of thing going on. Oh boy. Now that was definitely a wasted opportunity here, folks. But whatever, I guess. But it is a bit more bearable than the previous entry they made. Oh boy, that's for sure. So anyway, for this particular movie, folks, yeah, this animation itself still on the cheap side for some odd reason. But anyway, here's a weird thing about this. The film was the Disney Australia's final feature. The studio was closed down that helped to make this film, and the equipment to make this film was auctioned off once Cinderella 3 production was completed in January of 2006. Unlike the previous film, Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True, which was mostly made in Japan, and that production over there was also shortly closed down after the completion of Cinderella 2. But the thing is with this one, folks, for the third installment, the animators were given particular model sheets and expensive live-action sequences to work on as references. Obviously, it doesn't exactly end there. So, yeah, here we go, folks. Here we go. So, during the late part of the 1990s, a live-action remake of Cinderella was produced with the once singer Brandy as Cinderella. I did like some of her music, really. She's a good artist, but it's basically the original Cinderella with the obvious difference with the racial background. So, I'm not gonna really get into the story because, again, it's just the same movie all over again, but with the racial diversity. But of course, this film gets lots of praise just for that. Seriously, that's it really, just that. Which I thought was pretty dumb, if you ask me. Honestly, I don't mind having characters from multiple backgrounds and whatnot from different countries. I'm all for that. But don't let that be the only good thing about it. That's just stupid. And yeah, again, I thought it was pretty lazy just to remake the original film, just with characters with different ethnic backgrounds. And you can't call that diversity if you did that. Just create your own princess, be more original, instead of just remaking what was already done, and just slightly tweaking it up. Again, that's just real lazy. It's poor writing and whatnot. So if you ask me, this film's overrated. I really didn't like it. I mean, granted, it's not the worst film. It's not the worst Cinderella film I've ever seen, honestly. I just thought it was pretty meh. Just very, very meh. But it gets praised to no end just for this. That's it. That's all there is to it. Just gets praised for having this. That's it, really. Well, at least it's Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True. Yeah, that's still the absolute worst Cinderella film I've ever seen. Ooh. This one does have more constructed story and whatnot, so there's that. And the acting itself is pretty decent, I guess you can say. And since Brandy was originally a singer to begin with, probably the best singing came from her. And you get some other actors in here. I just kind of felt that they're just in here just for a paycheck, really. And that's it. And it came off not everyone was really putting the effort, really. I just kind of felt that the whole diverse thing was just thrown in there just for the sake of it. No real reason. It was just there. Just because. Yeah, seems like a certain group of people might have worked on it, acting as if they want equality for everybody, when in reality they really don't. Trying to act all self-righteous and whatnot. Ugh. And I was never a fan of the whole race swapping thing. I thought that was kind of idiotic, if you ask me. Again, like I said moments ago, is that I don't mind having racial diversity amongst a film, but even through the whole race swapping, it just seems, utterly pointless. It makes the entire thing pointless. Because it came off, you're just doing it just for the sake of it. No real reason behind it. You're just making it diverse just for the sake of making it diverse. It doesn't really add anything to the overall story. But there's a lack of a plot development, really. And there's going to be an uproar if they do a race swap with the character Blade. I'm not saying they should do that, don't get me wrong. I just don't like this race swapping. How is it that you would praise one thing and get mad at the other if the other thing does it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's very hypocritical. And on top of that, it looks so cheap. Disney has so much money in the wallet, so why does it look so cheap? Oh boy. Yeah, it doesn't end there, folks. Yup. There's one more movie I do have to bring up. Just one more. The more recent remake, yup, another live-action remake of Cinderella, which was released in the year 2015. So, this one, again, I'm not going to bother talking about the story because, again, it's basically just a repeat of a repeat. So, yeah, it's a remake of the original. Oh boy, it just seems lazy. I mean, yeah, this one comes off, it has more of a budget, sure. And yet the stepsisters are mean, of course. And the stepmother is really rude, of course, like you might expect. And yeah, I know they were trying to give the Prince Charming more screen time. And they were trying to make him seem more of a character development kind of thing, but it doesn't work. They try to make Cinderella seem like a strong woman, which I'm not fine with, but it still seems kind of stupid to some degree. And the fairy godmother, yeah, she was just there just once. And this movie is over 2 hours. And the fairy godmother was just there just once, just to have the dress thing going on. So basically, Cinderella here is kind of like a slave girl in her own house. She comes off imprisoned, which doesn't make any sense because she walks outside all willy-nilly, and she actually gets on a horse at times. So how is she being enslaved exactly? So yeah, there's so many plot holes in this film, which I did discuss in one of my videos prior, like a while back. But yeah, nothing here makes any sense. Yeah, there's a bigger budget, sure, but it's just still really bad. It's really bad. This remake manages to be even worse than this one. So come on. It gets really bad. It gets really stupid if you ask me. I mean, okay, it still doesn't beat this abomination, sure, but it's still bad. Still really bad. Oh, ain't that sweet? They're trying to be charming, trying to be romantic. Oh, it feels contrived here. And yes, of course, people were actually cheering this movie on for the dumbest, most asinine reasons. They were actually claiming that this version of Cinderella was actually a positive role model for little girls, which is dumb. I don't mind having strong women in the movies and whatnot, but this just came off pandering. It just came off like pandering to a certain group of audience. It's basically just setting itself up in a certain way just so the viewer can like the film. And that's just manipulative. If you ask me, this film is very manipulative because of that. And this is what makes a good movie nowadays? This is what makes a good film? Are you serious? It's terrible. The music was not that good. Those plot holes everywhere, like I mentioned earlier. Nothing makes sense. The music isn't very good. And the writing is awful. The editing was, whatever. And yeah, it has a budget, but it's a big budget, sure. But I don't care. I don't care what happens to any of the characters. It's too long and it's boring. And the thing is, Walt Disney himself never imagined turning this into a franchise. He only wanted one movie. So originally, Cinderella was intended to be a standalone film, a singular movie. That's it. It was meant to be one thing, a one-time thing, and that's it. No more. No more. I say stick with the original, folks. Just stay with the original film. All the others weren't very good at all. Anyway, folks. Even if Cinderella 3 wasn't all that bad either, but still, I still felt all of the films, the third one was the best one, if you ask me. It's still considered a classic, I guess, so, you know, you could watch the original film and just ignore the other versions, I guess. The Cinderella franchise gets an overall grade rating of a C+. Yeah, this had so much potential. This franchise had so much potential, but sadly, it was just wasted, if you ask me. And in large part, it was because of these social justice warriors that keep bitching and moaning about, oh, it's sexist. The original Cinderella is sexist, blah, 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 blah. The whole thing with the race swapping, I can't understand. Why can't you just make your own princess? Or the overweight Cinderella, again, just make your own princess. And then they have another version of Cinderella, like she's like super active or whatever.
Just make your own princess. Or bar-headed Cinderella. Again, why can't you just make your own princess? Or one that has a wheelchair or something? Again, and she has no arm. Again, make your own princess. Or one Cinderella that has like this kind of leg and a missing arm. Again, why can't you make your own princess? Yeah, she was in Wreck-It Ralph too, but that was kind of stupid because she was not even needed in that film at all. Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time was serviceable, I guess. But the first one is still the best one of all of them. And the series is just a waste of potential, folks. Just wish they could have taken much better care of this, folks. Oh boy, could you just imagine what they could have done, what they should have done, if they actually treated this franchise with much better care? I don't know, come on. Yeah, we can have diversity, sure, have it into the story, but make sure it amounts to nothing and not have it be forced right into it.
Anyway, folks, I know this video has been pretty long, so I thank anybody that actually sat through this, so I highly appreciate it. So I was doing this for my Disney-a-thon, that's the thing, folks. So, anyway, I guess I'll just end it here. As always, thanks for watching, and take care. See ya. Until next time. Oh, yeah.